Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game I play for the week and then I talk about it. This week's game is Shadowman Remastered for the PS5. It was released in 2022 and it's a single-player action-adventure game developed by Night Drive Studios and published by Atari Incorporated. And also will be some spoilers up ahead, just so you know, but first a little backstory. So back in the day, I remember I got a demo disc of this game, the original, Shadowman, with, I believe it was PC Gamer, but I couldn't play it because my PC back then was a potato. So it might have been a rental actually from the video game store for the Nintendo 64. And it so happens that Retrovaniacs did a pod episode on Shadowman 64 about 1 or 2 weeks ago. And one of the Jeremys, the one that runs the YouTube channel, he mentioned that he played the remastered version instead of the Nintendo 64 version. So that got me thinking, maybe I should try that game as well. So the first thing that I did was I checked out the comic book side of this character. So Stephen Englehart and David Lapham created the original character for Valiant Comics. And he first appeared as Jack Boneface, or Bonyface, in Exo Manowar issue 4 in 1992. So this character is pretty old actually. And as Shadowman the same year with his first issue. So what are Shadowman's abilities? Well, he has reduced fear because he walks the deadside planes of the undead. He can see in the dark, he has regenerative powers, enchanted strength, endurance, and reflexes, and other voodoo powers. So he's kind of cool, actually. So the plot of the game goes something like this. Jack the Ripper, the murderer, commits a ritual murder, trying to give himself some mystical powers. But obviously it fails, and a man named Legion, or I guess he's not really a man, is he? He appears to tell him that he needs the power of the Dark Souls in order to achieve his goals. But the catch is that Jack has to build this insane asylum, like a factory, with like-minded people for this in order to work in the place or planes called Deadside. Cutting to present day where Michael Leroy, I guess that's how you say his name, he becomes the current Shadowman and a voodoo warrior meant to protect the living side called Live Side. And he has the Mask of Shadow and it's fused to him, and he has a prophetic dream about what he's supposed to do, about Legion, the apocalypse. And that's the short version of the story. So at the start of the game, there are a bunch of company logos. Then there is a narrated intro and a title screen prompting you to press the X button. And then you can choose between New Adventure, Load Adventure, Options, Secrets, and Review Movies. And if you pick a new game, you can pick between Normal and the Horror. And then there's a cutscene intro with Jack the Ripper that I talked about, and Legion. And Jack heals himself in order to go to Deadside to work on this asylum factory thingy. Meanwhile, Nettie, this voodoo priestess, I guess she is, has a nightmarish dream about the Five, which are these killer, or they're in cahoots with Jack the Ripper and Legion, I guess. And then Shadowman gets told to recover the Dark Souls. There are 120 of them. And a bit later, Michael takes a boat ride into a swamp where there's a church where he needs to contact Nettie. So this area works as a tutorial. You learn how to control, you pick up various items and stuff. And he doesn't have his shadow powers, so he just has a normal gun. And Nettie gives him a teddy bear, and this teddy bear works as a teleportation device. So if you've been in a certain location, you can teleport back to that once you get prompted. So a teddy bear appears on screen, and that means that, okay, you can teleport to this place now. And then, of course, I used the teddy bear to teleport to Deadside, the land of the dead, with a cool monologue and a nice cutscene. And Deadside has this weird alien vibe to it. It's hard to explain, but it's a bit like Spawn. That's the only comparison I can give, like the comic book. And I came upon this character called Jaunty, this snake with a human skull face for a face with an Irish accent. And he had lots to say on what to do and things like that. And I also made a note here because Michael changed a bit when he goes Deadside. His gun actually has shadow powers, which is super cool. And once you get enough Dark Souls, you can actually charge up the gun. So I explored a bit, then I killed some enemies, and I found a book. And this book I brought back to Nettie. And the book contains the story so far. It's like a tarot kind of card vibe to it. It's drawn pictures and, you know, what items he's about to find and what powers he needs to complete the game. It's sort of like it's weird because the book is like a prophecy thing, so everything that is in the book he has to do to progress. So I returned to Deadside and found my first Dark Souls, and there are 120 of them. And you need these souls to open up doors. So during the Retrovaniacs podcast, they actually mentioned that this game has a lot of similarities to Super Mario 64. You need to collect souls or stars in order to open up doors and to progress. It's the same kind of vibe, but Shadowman is a lot darker. So I went up, opened a door, went to the Wasteland and the Temple of Life. So I explored a bit more and I found this item called the Ashon, which is a fire-spitting skull. It's a really cool weapon. And also found the entrance to the asylum and also found the engineering key, which lets you get deeper into the asylum itself. And of course I collected more Dark Souls, and this is where I took a break and actually saved the game. You can pretty much save anywhere. And the asylum is unforgiving, there's a lot of platforming, and Michael is not the most nimblest character I've controlled. It's like tank control actually. So an interesting thing about Shadowman as a character is that there's no penalty to actually dying, besides backtracking to where you were, because Michael, or Shadowman, is the Lord of Deadside. And another funny thing about Michael is that if you die a couple of times, he will actually say oops, because he's like self-aware of what's happening. So I explored deeper into the asylum and I found these hanging torsos, and I know I was supposed to do something with them and that they were connected to the 5 somehow. But I didn't want to look up a walkthrough, I wanted to figure it out by myself, and I got so frustrated, so I stopped playing. So I had to swallow my pride and look up a walkthrough, and in retrospect it was kind of funny because there are these train card segments and I needed to press switch 2 to go to station 2, but it wasn't hinted at. And meanwhile at that station I picked up another item called the Tete de Muerte, which is a skull. So later in the game I went to the fire temple, and there are lots of platforming to do here, lots of traps. You need to activate these buttons in order to raise a platform to gain a new ability, and while doing so you awaken the sisters, which are the guardians of the place. So the power that you gain is dealing with fire with your bare hands, and it's actually kind of cool. You can also push these fire blocks with it. A lot more of areas open up in the game just by finding this power. So this week I learned what it feels like to be a true imposter, because I was more or less directly inspired by the Yacc Podcast to cover this game. And I saw that Jeremy Parmentier was live on Twitch, and I gave him a visit and I talked to him about the game. He even gave me some hints on how to progress, and he told me to backtrack to previous areas and use my newfound abilities to find other paths in Dark Souls. And I also told him that I felt like such an imposter because they covered the game like 2 weeks ago, and he said it was fine and everything, but it just feels weird because it feels like I did the sheep thing, but he said it was fine, so I guess it's fine. So gameplay. Michael, aka Shadowman, is on a quest to stop Legion and the upcoming apocalypse. Control, the left stick is movement, the right stick is camera. X button jumps, the circle button dodges or roll, the mid bar button is inventory, the R2 button or L2 button is item or gun, you can actually switch between the two, and the triangle button holds to the gun or the items you have. Graphics. So this game runs on the Kex engine, and the game looks better than I remember it doing, back in the day at least. So the models are edgy and they are kind of jagged, and the environment is as well, but I don't really mind. Sound and music. Tim Haywood made the original soundtrack for Shadowman. He also returned for the remastered. Another interesting thing is the voice actor of Shadowman himself. He is voiced by Reed Pepper, and he has one of those trailer voices like "In a World," or, you know, this epic kind of voice that you hear in movie trailers all the time, and I really like that choice of actor right there. Easter egg seekers and glitches. So in the game there are 18 hidden teddy bears that you can find by going out of bounds. And that's a classic Easter egg right there. Just go out of bounds, clip through geometry to find these bears. I can also recommend Shadowman Iceberg by the Eisenberg experience, where he goes into depth about both the remake and the original, and he talks about all these cool stuff. And it was kind of stupid actually, because I started watching the Iceberg Theory first before I actually played the game, and I looked up the comic books, and I was like, okay, I should have gone the other way around, you know, discover with the game that I play, but, you know, sometimes you do stupid stuff, right? So in conclusion, I wrote, no, maybe sit this one out if you aren't a big Shadowman fan. So the game looks good, the controls really well. It was also cheap on the PSN store, like $20 actually currently. But the gameplay is a bit repetitive, and just defeat the enemies, collect the Dark Souls in the area, that kind of vibe. And it was kind of one of those things. I had fun for a while, and then it's like a roller coaster basically. I had fun and then not so fun and fun again. So it's one of those games that isn't for all, but it's hard to recommend. So maybe if you're into the comics and know who Shadowman is, you might enjoy this game better, but otherwise probably sit this one out, I guess. So anyway, thank you for listening and or watching, and take care.